this chapter of One Piece has arrived early to give us another amazing chapter bundled with amazing information. So much information, in fact, that we found out more about Gold Roger, Whitebeard, Marco, and then also some of the next goals of the series, along with finding out that log poses are completely useless at this time for our crew. This chapter, oh my god. I thought the last chapter was good. I thought the previous chapter was good. Holy shit, these chapters. This arc, this fucking arc of One Piece, the Zou arc, this intermission arc. We kind of knew it was going to be a little bit different. I mean, when we walked into the arc, we knew we were probably going to find some information. It was going to be a rather short arc, get some information for the setup of the next arcs, and then carry on. But this arc, I don't want to end. I want to be honest. I do not want this arc to end anytime soon if we continue to get this type of stuff. With all this information of all this backstory on things. I mean, there's just so many questions, and then so many questions that were answered. It amazes me by how Oda can do this weekly, just because you know he's been planning this for a very long time. I mean, just alone. With the Dressrosa arc, we had a certain crew that was fighting Doffy. I mean, you have it to where the other half was missing, like Sanji and them. And seeing how now, like, with the way that was set up and how they were kind of distant from Dressrosa, like they weren't a part of it, and then how Luffy's going to be going to go save Sanji, even the crew members that were not really a part of Dressrosa are going to be there with Luffy, it makes me upset that the crew might be getting split up, but I see the way Oda is setting this up. For instance, like the first part, Dressrosa had half of the crew having their, development, characterization, and fight against Doffy, and then the second half going into the Big Mom arc, trying to save Sanji or rescue Sanji. You have it to where the other crew members that weren't really a part of the Dressrosa are going to be the main characters of this upcoming arc, while the other half, like Zoro for instance, is going to be kind of pushed aside for now. That's most likely where it's going to go, but which proves how Oda has been writing the series. I mean, Oda's already proved time and time again, he already knows where his series is going. I don't think we need to, doubt that, but just seeing how he could write something like that and has planned all this with the perfect order of chapters and stuff, and certain reveals he does, it just amazes me. It really does. It always amazes me when Oda does some great writing like that, even though I should be kind of used to by now because he's a good writer. It amazes me seeing stuff like that with how, the crew members that weren't a part of Dressrosa is now going to be the main prominent cast in this upcoming arc. Now, getting off of that, let's talk about the stories we found out, like some backstory. So, we get to find out that Blackbeard versus the Whitebeard, pirates, there was a fight, and Luffy found out more about it, and Marco suffered a serious defeat. Like, it was a defeat, and Blackbeard, after, Blackbeard defeated the remaining Whitebeard pirates, he became another Yonko. That's when people started looking at Blackbeard as, holy shit, he's a Yonko. He defeated the Whitebeard pirates. Even though Whitebeard's dead, the Whitebeard pirates are pretty damn strong. We saw their strength in the Whitebeard War, the Big Great War. We know how strong they are, so Blackbeard defeating them, it kind of concreted his name in history books saying Blackbeard is definitely a Yonko, just because of his strength alone. Now, the question is exactly what is really wrong with Marco. I mean, what's going on with him? Because we have a lot of questions about that. It wasn't really completely explained about his situation. We know he's around, we just don't know everything of what's going on with the Whitebeard crew, which this adds a very interesting element to this part of the story, because, as we already know, with these latest arcs and revelations, we already know, like, one of the main goals of One Piece at this moment is to take down Kaido. For instance, take down Kaido, one of the, Yonkos, and then also now it's kind of been shifted over to Wano Kingdom to take down the Shogun and then Kaido. And then if we shift over to, Captain Kidd, he as well, he was fighting Kaido. We don't even know what the fuck is happening with him, but then there's other stuff, not just affiliated with Kaido, but we have the Big Mom stuff with Sanji, we have, Peckham's, and then we also have to where these, poneglyphs, how they're spread out, and then we also found out more about, Blackbeard and Marco's connection, Weevil on top of that, trying to hunt down the remaining members of Whitebeard's crew, and then let's not even talk about Blackbeard going on with the Revolutionary HQ, where Dragon is at the moment. Yeah, I bet many have forgotten about that. I mean, there's so much shit going on right now that it's kind of ridiculous, because we have all this content just spread out before us. It's like on the table. Like, imagine this big ass fucking table. Oda's just sitting there. He's, has his suit on and all that, and he's fucking looking at this table. It's like, yeah, which path do you want to take? He's like, okay, so we can go the Sanji path. We could go, the Kaido path. We could go the Revolutionary Dragon with, Blackbeard crew path, and then we can go the Poneglyph path, and then we go these other paths of these other characters that are currently fighting in other places. I mean, there's a lot of shit going down, and of course, we're going to be focusing on the Sanji path, but still, it's just amazing when you take a moment to look at how much shit is going on. And it's not just that. It's not just, you know, Kaido and Big Mom now. We're getting into some Whitebeard shit. Yeah, we're getting into some Whitebeard pirate type stuff now because our crew, our characters, are trying to hunt down Marco. So, right there, I'm excited. If I had to place any bets, I've talked about this before in previous chapters, a lot of this, you know, second half of One Piece when it comes to the New World has been focusing on Luffy gaining allies. I talked about this quite a bit last week in my last chapter review, and if I had to place any bets, if I had to put it on the table and just, you know, place some bets, I'm going to assume somewhat the Whitebeard pirates are probably going to align themselves with the Straw Hat crew, maybe become like a part of the Straw Hat crew's alliance fleet when they do the massive main war in the future. If I had to place any money on the table, that's what I would assume is going to be happening. But enough of that, though, let's get into some other details. So, talking about Whitebeard and talking about Roger. So, Whitebeard and Roger, they went to Wano Kingdom a long time ago, and if I had to, you know, put, once again, more money on the table, you remember the flashback we got a long time ago in the Whitebeard War? I remember when I was watching One Piece, and I was catching up to it in the Whitebeard War. I think it was around, like, episode 430 or whatever. It was a long time ago when it was around there. I was catching up to it, and I remember when I got up to that moment when Whitebeard finally, like, you know, where you talked about his past with Roger, and when you see Roger and Whitebeard just drink together, it was a great fucking moment. And if you look closely at everything, the design of the background, like, if you think about it, I remember that image in my head, because I rewatched that over and over and over again, because it was a beautiful scene. The Whitebeard scene is probably one of my favorite scenes of One Piece. And I remember Roger and, you know, Whitebeard sitting down, drinking together, talking and discussing about, you know, One Piece and stuff. And then, you know, D, like, what does D mean? And if I had to place money, I would say that when, you know, Whitebeard and Roger went to Wano, I'm assuming that's when they drunk together. I'm assuming that's what happened, because that seems to fit in the place since they both went there, and when they met, you know, the previous Shogun, that's kind of where I think, you know, that's trying to imply, that those two met there and drunk together. Now, besides that, let's talk about the overall circumstance with Roger. So Roger, he followed the Grand Line and then New World all the way to the end, to all the islands that they're going down a set path. And down to the final island where it's at, there is some information from what we found out. And this information would let everybody know that you need to know what the poneglyphs say, the ancient language, and then you need to find out how the three will link up to where the final island is. And because of this, since we have Robin in our crew, it kind of negates the reason to go to that final island. There's probably some interesting information there, which I think our characters will eventually have to go there one day. But at this time, though, Robin already knowing how to read the ancient language, it's kind of pointless to go there at this time. They could pretty much bypass and skip some of the stuff and then be able to already hunt down the main key stuff to go to the final island, which explains a lot. Many questions I have had and others have had over the course of One Piece. Why hasn't other pirates gone to the final island? Why haven't they got, you know, One Piece? Is it because the terrain is treacherous and you just can't make it there? I mean, that's what I have always assumed. Like, the final island is fucking ridiculous and, you know, Yonkos can't even go there. That's what I always assume. Like, why Whitebeard didn't go? Why, you know, Big Mom or, you know, Kaido or anyone didn't ever go there? Either A, you just assume they didn't have interest in it, or B, they just couldn't make it there because the water was just that fucking crazy, like the weather and all that. And now finding out that even if you get to the final island doesn't mean that's One Piece, you still have to hunt everything down. You have to backtrack all the way down to the beginning of the fucking Grand Line, which is ridiculous in of itself, just to get all this information. And even then, you don't even know if you can actually read all the language, the ancient language. You can't even read it. So that would mean that you would have to venture to Wano Kingdom just to get this information, just to be able to read. And hopefully they teach you that information, because they could probably tell you to fuck off. So even if you learned how to read this information on the different poneglyphs and was able to backtrack, you would have to go to different islands trying to find ancient history, and I mean Skypiea arc and all that type of shit. So there would be a lot more you would have to do. So it's kind of like going backwards down the Grand Line again. It's like this. It's like you have a starting point. You're starting from the Grand Line, you're going down the Grand Line, you finally get to the New World, you're going for the New World, you get to the end, and when you find out, wait, you gotta go back now. You gotta get all this fucking information on the poneglyphs and, you know, all these different things to how to find the final island, and then that would mean you have to backtrack to Wano Kingdom. So it's kind of like starting from point A, going to point B, that's the middle part where, you know, Fishman Island is, and then going to point C, and then going from point C, probably like, you know, in between point, you know, B and C, where Wano is, and then traveling maybe to point B again, and then back to point A at the beginning of the Grand timeline, and then going all the way fucking back just to find the islands that have the glyphs. So right there, that just shows you the journey that Roger had to do. And that's crazy, how he had to completely alter his journey just to get this information, which is amazing. It's really amazing. Fascinating stuff with this chapter. Now, talking about Momo. Momo has already been said that he could hear the voice. And in this chapter, once again, we get another example of this. Luffy's like, what? I hear that voice. And the last time we heard this was from the Sea Kings in Fishman Island. And we know Roger could do it as well. It's already been implied, and it's already being said that Momo is kind of similar to Roger in that aspect. So because of this, the voice I'm assuming Luffy is hearing, and most likely Momo is hearing, is probably the elephant. You know, Zunisha. I'm willing to bet that's the voice they're hearing, because we do know Jack is coming to attack, you know, the elephant and take it down. Of course, Zunisha is probably going to beat the shit out of Jack. I've already said it. I've already said it in the last chapter. I would not put it past Zunisha to be able to kick some fucking ass, because no way a 1,000-year elephant is just going to allow you to fucking kick its ass and kill it. There's just no way. That elephant's probably going to be a crazy powerhouse. So, I can't wait to see that. But for now, though, that's some interesting stuff that we need to really pay attention to. Most likely, the way it's going, there might be a possibility that, you know, Zunisha could, in fact, give some information to Luffy. Because, if you think about it, Zunisha is a 1,000-year-old elephant. Walked through the Void Center. We know this. Has seen a lot of the New World. That means this elephant has walked through a whole lot of shit. There might be a very slim, like, a very slim possibility. Like, this is very, very fucking slim. Like, it's almost the 0%. But there is a possibility that maybe Zunisha, at one point or time, might have passed the final island, depending on where it's at or where it is located at. If it is located in the New World, of course. It could be somewhere we never expected. So, at this time, there is a possibility that maybe even the elephant walked past the final island a long time ago, or has kind of information on where all the, you know, the poneglyphs are to find the final island. That is a possibility as well. But for now, though, let's talk about Momo. Another part about Momo. Momo said that he saw Roger. Like, he met Roger. Now, this overall combo, I felt was kind of meant to be a joke, because everybody was just, you know, discussing, you know, information about the past and stuff. They were having a fun time, and we were getting a lot of information. But then all of a sudden, Momo says, oh, I saw him too when I was young. And then, you know, you had a couple, you know, panels later, like, no, you're too young. There's no way you fucking couldn't. It looked like he was lying. But there is actually a reason to believe Momo for this. Let me explain. If you remember, which, as I think some of you might remember, I've rewatched the Whitebeard arc a lot from the anime, and I've also read the manga. Very wonderful arc. One of my personal favorite arcs, it really is, besides Skypiea. And now, I know many people give Skypiea arc a lot of shit, but I love Skypiea. And I love the Whitebeard arc, and Impel Down as well. But the Whitebeard arc, I've watched, God, at least 5 to 6 times. And I remember Little Oars Jr., you know, the Oars moment that Ace and Oars had. It was a very emotional moment. And seeing how the hat was given in the backstory, you know, Ace was talking about how he learned how to make straw hats from the Wano Kingdom, and instantly puts 2 and 2 together. For instance, there is a possibility that Ace met Momo at a young age when he went to Wano Kingdom to help out Little Oars Jr. That's a very good possibility how Momo knows of Roger. Maybe he mistaken Ace for Roger, because, you know, Roger and Ace, you know, Ace is the son of Roger. Now, one last thing to discuss, I think I need to discuss, let's see, actually, have I discussed everything? Okay, Jack is attacking, the elephant's being attacked, the voice, the information about Roger, Whitebeard, Weevil, the connection to Kaido, Big Mom. I think I've discussed everything. I think I have. Yeah, I think I have. If I am missing something, you let me know in the comments below, Cheebits. Please, let me know. But I think I have discussed everything I need to discuss that's rather important. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.